All right, what's good, everybody? Hope all is well. This is Zachary King from the Future is Female podcast, and I'm here with the beautiful Bridget Battles. Bridget, how you doing today?
I'm well, Zach. How are you?
I'm in a good space. Thank you for asking. I'm in a good space. It's hot out here in Philly today.
It is hot, but let me tell you, I like hot weather. I'm from the South. This is my kind of weather. This is my jam.
I hear it. I hear it all in your accent. Where you from?
I'm from High Point, North Carolina,
The
furniture capital of the world, home of Fantasia. Yes, home of Bridget Battles and so many other amazing people and industries.
Right. Oh, no. So let me ask, how long you been here in Philadelphia for?
I've been in Philly now for about 20 years.
Wow.
I moved here right after I turned 30 years old, and I'm 51 now.
You look amazing.
Yeah.
So you mean you're not 30 now?
Thank you. I know, so extra.
Right. No. That's amazing. What made you make the transition to Philadelphia?
So several things. So coming to Philly was an opportunity for me to really figure out what life would look like outside of the normal tradition of just graduating from a high school, going to college, and, you know, having a career path. I've always been a dreamer. I always wanted something big and better. Wasn't sure how to get it.
Right.
So coming to Philly was an opportunity for me to go down the path of really figuring it out. Right. And it's been one of the best decisions that I've ever made coming here.
Wow. You know what? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I got a lot of love for my city. So to have other people come here and embrace that is good. Talk to me about some of your challenges that you may have faced stepping into a new endeavor and coming to a new city. What was that like?
So, I did have several challenges here. A couple of things that have happened, but, the challenges I look at as opportunities for growth, opportunities for impact. And it was also my space of really learning who Bridget is. Who is this person? How do I showcase her to the world? And how do I get closer to my dreams? And so when I came to Philly about 20 years ago, I was married then. And so I relocated here, had a great career in healthcare. I've been in healthcare for over 25 years. And through the course of that, I started trying to find my voice. And one of the biggest challenges that I had right away was that my accent. And so I chuckled when you talked about you hearing my accent, because that was one of the biggest challenges. My first job, I was referred to as the girl from the country,
right,
or the country girl, or being asked, do I make homemade biscuits, or do I walk outside barefooted, all those kinds of things. And so because I'm a person who's not easily intimidated, and I would be lying to say that it did not bother me, but because I'm competitive in nature, I had to figure out a way to make it work for me.
Right.
And so what I started to do was the thing that I was challenged on, I figured out a way to make it work for me. I've always been a great speaker. I've always had a voice, but this gave me an avenue to amplify my voice. So what you've chosen to highlight, I've chosen now to showcase it.
No, that makes a lot of sense. The pushback that you received in your voice, did that come from us, or was that them? So
the pushback, it was more along the lines of corporate.
Okay.
It was more along the lines of corporate. It was more along the lines of, I've always been an amazing worker. I've always had skill set. And the thing about it is that even for anybody that's watching me, skill set is great, but you need more than skill set.
Okay.
So it came from the confines of corporate. It came from the confines of people that you work with, your peers. And to them, it was a term of endearment.
Okay.
To me, it was not a term of endearment. To me, it was a form of, you having a form of cracking jokes. And it was okay at first.
Right.
But, after a while, things that are okay, they become not okay. And so I really learned how to manage that. And I think that's crucial, even for anybody now, even just using that example, is learning how to take things that other people deem to highlight, you use it to your advantage and you showcase it as one of your attributes that can help you become better.
How do you get to that space? Because I know, like, for me, sometimes saying no and turning down, like, it's like you don't want to offend, but you are offended, and I know I had to build up, just being perfectly honest with you, my sense of self with that. So how did because it became you find yourself being in a position where you're trying to people please, and I don't want to, ruffle too many feathers, but at the end of the day, my feathers are being roughed up. So how did you find that place and that inner strength that can say, you know what, I need to stop this because I don't like the way this is going? How did you do that?
So this is a really, really good question. And so here's the thing I want to share with all of you. So for those of you who don't know, my company is called the Bridget Battle's Experience. And I work with entrepreneurs and C-suite executives on how to up-level their executive presence and their image and to show up in the best possible light. And so part of that work is laying the foundation of confidence. And so when you talk about how do you get past that, it's really establishing your confidence. And so I think where we fail ourselves a lot of time is that we don't take the time to do internal work and decide who we want to be, how we want to be viewed by the world, how we respond to the world, and how we show up. So when we talk about you making sure that you're not offended, although it is not 1,000%, case that you're never going to be offended. But how do you manage that? And so even with confidence is that you have the power to write your own narrative. You also have the power to determine how you respond. And you also have the power to treat people how to treat you. So I use myself for an example. When I first moved here, that before I started my company, I'm smart and all the things, but there was always one or two things that stopped me from getting to the next level of where I saw myself. And then that's when I figured out that my executive presence needed to be created on a different level. And so I began to really search out for a mentor. I began to try to figure out all the things that I needed. And one of the things that happened is that when I would reach out to a mentor and I would tell them my dreams, my dreams are this big.
Right.
And even bigger. But they wanted me to bring my dreams into this. That didn't work for me.
Right.
And so with that being said, that was offensive because you want me to dim what I see. Right. You want me to dim based upon what you view success. And so tying it back, it all boils down to your confidence. It's your confidence of how you show up. You have to show up knowing that you are the best at what you do. You have to show up being the best at who you are. And you have to show up knowing that nobody can do what you do better than you. And it doesn't matter who else is doing what you're doing, but nobody does it better than you. Right. And so when you talk about ruffling feathers, one thing I did learn in corporate, and I want to share this to anybody that's watching us. I pride myself in, because I do podcasts all the time. I talk to people all the time. I pride myself in giving you things that you can use right away. Right. Because, you can watch YouTube University, you can watch podcasts, but if you don't have things that you can, put in your life and acclimate, start doing it right away, then what are you doing? You being a professional person that collects knowledge. Right. So I want to say that, when it comes to, to your confidence, to you building this platform, take the time to do your internal work. And what I've learned is better to fireproof than it is to firefight. Okay. So building that fireproof and not firefighting all the time. And also not setting yourself on fire to keep everybody else warm.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I definitely appreciate that, because I think that a lot of times people romanticize the entrepreneur journey, and they don't understand that how much of a fight, internal fight that they got to go through. Because there are going to be time periods in your life and in your walk in which things may not always make sense, especially financially. I have been doing this podcast for 2 months now, and I have been doing photography and videography for 4 years. And as a photographer, I've been doing it full time. As a photographer, videographer, I could tell you there are some nights where I'm just tossing and turning and don't know where my next opportunity is going to come from. You got to be built real. You got to have a real strong sense of self and being resilient to do that. What was the turning point for you? Like, how did you, like, what was the turning point in your life where you realized the importance of finding yourself and embracing your confidence?
Yeah. So here's the thing. When I moved here, I told you I was married. And so, life happened. I'm no longer married now. But I started to go through my divorce while finding out my dad had stage 4 cancer. So I was grieving 2 deaths at one time.
Wow.
And so it was either a choice. The choice was I had to figure out how to make this thing called life work, or I was going to have to go back home to North Carolina. And I refused to be defeated. I refused to give up on a dream that I had. And I refused to give up on myself. So the turning point then for me was to figure out what it would take for me to get to the next level. And so I want to go back to something that you said, about entrepreneurship. Here's the thing. Where entrepreneurs struggle, and I can say that because I have been in that space before. I'm currently not in that space. Right. But I have been in that space before where you have a great idea, but you don't have a strategy. You have a great idea, but you don't have a plan. Mm-hmm. You have a great idea and a great social media following, but you're not making money. I've been in that space before.
Right.
And so when you tie all of that together, it's just about not just about knowing yourself, but it's also having a strategy. It's also staying true to your authentic self.
Right.
And it's also you not being able to be blown no matter which way of the week it is or by what you see. Because see, what happens is we tell ourselves so many stories. And what we do is, because we're alone sometimes, we allow those stories that we tell ourselves, we allow them to manifest. So we have the choice to change what we tell ourselves, what we respond to, and how we act. So my turning point was, I have these 2 deaths that I'm mourning at the same time. I'm either going to live or I'm going to die with them. And I chose to live.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I appreciate that inner, that resilience in you. And I'm grateful because had you not made that decision, we would not be sitting in front of each other today.
Correct.
So I definitely appreciate hearing that. Can you share a time period in life where maybe you, I guess you just said where you was mourning the death of your divorce, your marriage, and also
my dad.
So did he actually transition home?
He did. It happened all in the same month.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But
it made me better. It made me better. And it made me better. And it also made me, better. It also made me more mature. But I still believe in love.
Right.
I have a healthy dating life, y'all.
Right.
But I still believe in love, And I think what's so significant about all of that is that when you can talk about it,
right,
you not only encourage other people, but it gives you the grace to grow. So I believe that as a leader and as an executive, as a CEO, it is my job to help create other leaders. And I do that through my company. If I am not creating other leaders, I'm not effective. I can't be the only person rich. If I'm the only person rich, that's a problem. That means that what I am doing is not making an impact. Right. And so we have to set this stage. Number 1 is to show up as our authentic self. Number 2 is to be consistent at who you are. And number 3 is that your belief has to go beyond what you say. Your belief has to be in your execution, and your belief has to be in your surroundings.
Beautiful. What advice would you give someone that's struggling with fear and maybe self-doubt? What tangibles would you give them? So
here's something I give that all my clients, I'm going to give it to y'all for free. It's
a gym, y'all. Gym alert.
Listen,
this is a gym.
Listen, I ask all of my clients to think about one word, and I'll ask you this. Give me one word that describes you, not your skill set, not your business, not anything else but you as a person. Give me that one word.
Right.
I'm asking you, give me one word.
I would use the word resilient.
Okay.
I would use resilient. That's the thing that comes to mind most because there have been a lot of times in which I wanted to give up, and I knew that if I wasn't, like how you said earlier, if I was pivotal moments. If I turn back now, I'm never going to reach success. I'm never going to get where I need to go, and I got to find that strength somehow or some kind of way. When I was in prison, I had a picture of a boat being set on fire, right? And I didn't know the story behind the boat, but I just thought it was the coolest looking thing in the world. It was on some magazine. And then I found out that they said that when Vikings would go over to take new land, what they would do is they would set their boats on fire. And that was so weird. They had no choice. It was either take over the new land or die. There was no going back. And that was, I had that. And it's giving me goosebumps thinking about that, because I had that like right next to my daughter picture in prison on, you know, with the toothpaste holding up my picture. That was what I had on there. So I just realized that I had to go fight, you know, fight for this, to be in a position where I'm at right now, to be able to give women who not necessarily wouldn't have a platform, but to help accelerate the process, to be in a position where I get to change the narrative of how our Black women are being viewed.
I love it. So I asked you for your power word, and I asked all my clients for the power word. And so your power word is the word that you embody. Your power word is the word that describes you. So here's what I want you to do, and I even want you to do it also too. And that is, when you get a chance, record a 45-second video talking about how resilient you are.
Okay.
When you record that video, I want you to go back and watch it.
Right.
And when you watch it, you should feel resilient when you watch it.
Right.
If you don't feel that power word when you watch it, you need to re-record it until you feel it.
Right.
And so the more that you see things and the more you say it, the more you become it. And so what you have to do in those moments is, when you fall out of alignment, or when your faith or your doubt or your fear sets in, you have something tangible for you to go back and look at, to remind you of who you are. So having those things brings you back.
Let's talk about affirmations, because what you're talking about is, it brings me to that mindset of what you speak about, you actually bring about. And I know that I could be I know I was accused for a long time of being arrogant, right? And I've pushed and burnt a lot of relationships off of that arrogance. But what I realized was, I wasn't necessarily arrogant. I just think that I was a lot, but I was very confident, right? And it wasn't until I decided to be conscious of that I feel like I started to dim my own light. I feel like, I'm giving them a way out to deal with me. But the truth of the matter of it is, they can't mess with me. And it comes off as arrogant, but I felt like the more I was dimming my own light, I was feeling like I'm not who I am no more, you know? And it's sort of like, it's like I have to be able to speak that and confidently, and so I'm learning from this as well. So I
have a question for you.
Sure.
Because the first thing I thought about when you said that is that, you know, you were arrogant and you become conscious of it. Okay. I'm wondering, and you let me know your thoughts. Okay. Maybe you're in the wrong circles.
Facts. You know what?
Maybe those are your surroundings. That's not your audience. That's not where you're supposed to be.
Facts. No, you're absolutely right. My man Toure out of here in Philly, he has a thing on his shirt. Excuse me, because but his shirt is "fuck humble," and I'm like, bro, I need that. So shout out to Toure, because when I seen his shirt, it was like, man, and I think that's what it was. It came down to too as well. I just had to say, man, freak all that humble stuff, man. It's about going for what you want and being resilient and saying, man, I'm going to go for it no matter what. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I think about, so here's the thing. And this is what, I want to say to anybody that's watching us today, or anybody that was listening, we grow as people, creatives and entrepreneurs. Nobody sees your vision the way you see it.
Facts.
They don't. And so you become excited because of what you're giving birth to and what you see.
Right, but they don't see it.
Other people they can only see the parts that you're able to articulate to them. They don't know what the vision feels like.
Right.
They don't know what it tastes like. Right.
God ain't give it to them.
So they won't respond to the vision at the same level of intensity that you respond in. They won't. And so what happens is your excitement and confidence compounded intimidates them.
I tell my daughter, I says, the shark don't care nothing about what the goldfish got going on.
It doesn't.
Which one you going to be, the shark or the goldfish? And, and it's that mindset. When you decide to say I'm the shark, make your decisions in that alignment of the shark. And what I mean by the shark is I'm the baddest one in the ocean right here. Ain't nobody coming past me, and so I feel that 100%. I feel that 100%. In terms of imaging, because that's something that you big on. Like you turn
very
on
much
imaging.
So. And I want to say something really quick before, I don't mean to hijack the podcast.
Hijack it.
But listen, this is my jam.
Hey, y'all, welcome to the Bridget Battle show.
But listen, I want to say say something because I'm just adamant about this. I actually recorded a video clip that I'm dropping tonight about this. 2 things I want to say. Number 1, the person we see on social media, that's the person we need to see in person.
Okay.
If that is how you are showing up on social media, when we meet you,
Right.
your voice in person should match your brand voice.
Okay.
If it does not, that's a problem.
Okay.
So for example, if you go to anybody, you can go and look at my social media. And Zach, feel free to look at it, critique me. I look like the person that's on the IG.
Right.
My brand voice is still the same.
Right.
Who I am is still the same. Doesn't mean I'm perfect.
Right.
Doesn't mean I get everything right. Doesn't mean I haven't made mistakes.
Right.
But people value authenticity.
That's a fact.
Be who you are.
That's a fact. And so, I think, and let me say, that's a fact. And I think we need it more than ever before. Because with all this AI stuff going on, and we don't know who's real, what's real anymore. Somebody being honest. And that's the reason why I wanted to create this podcast, because I felt like we needed to have honest dialogue. We needed to talk about it. I am very forthcoming and try to talk about my flaws, because oftentimes when you get these guys and they get on these podcasts, it's like, I got everything together, I got all life figured out, and what you don't. And oftentimes they don't. It's maybe in that one area that they succeed in, but the other areas they are trash. And I felt like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go put some things out here. Anybody want to judge or whatever, so what? But I'm going to put it out here, and I'm going to talk to women and people who else too, because I feel like women, especially in this climate that we are there right now, it's so important to hear strong, level-headed Black women, because we are being bombarded with the images of, you know, the twerking, the neck rolling, and all of them nasty images. We got to combat that. And as a man that has a little girl, I don't want her to grow up in the world thinking that she got to live up to that right there. Because I grew up with the mindset thinking I got to live up to the gangsters in my community.
Yeah.
I grew up with that. I was that dude. So when people were not me, I was that guy. I saw TV. I saw images of the dope guys, the dope boys. I saw images of the jackers, and felt like, you know what, I was able to identify with that. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I started seeing better and started seeing different. And I'm like you are, well, a little bit different. My uncle was in the military. He was in the military down in Charleston, South Carolina. And I never forgot when he took me down there. That was my first time I seen Black people be successful. Like, it was like, you look like the Huxtables. Like, you look like them. Like, I never seen that before. I grew up in Philly all my life. So when I went down South Carolina, I'm like, I didn't know I was allergic to grass until I went down south.
You allergic to grass?
Well, I mean, just plants and all stuff. Like, I know I had allergies. Like, I didn't know them things because where I grew up at. Yeah. So it gave me a chance to see something different. So I feel like that's what this platform is about right now.
Yeah. And so the last part I want to make is that, you know, we want to see the same person. Right. You got to be the same person. And the second thing, and I'm going to give you a shout out and a plug right here too. Stop with these AI images for your profile picture. When it comes to your image, get you a photographer. So the video clip I'm dropping tonight is you need new headshots every year. Every year you need new headshots.
I would say every 6 months.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Well, I give people a year because some people are, you know, their careers or whatever, they can get by for the year. But I agree. But here's the thing, and this is one of the things that's so important. Your image is tied to your finances. Okay. Your image impacts your bottom line. I did a Harvard study and a few other resources that I'm happy to share in the show notes. But 30% of people are not concerned about their image when they show up. Wow. Your executive presence and how you show up, it dictates your finances. And you might ask me how? Because you're looked over for promotions. If you are not showing up looking your best, it shows that if you're not invested in the way you look, are you going to invest in the work I ask you to do for me?
Oh, that's a good correlation.
We can't trust you with your image. Why am I trusting you with my product? Why am I trusting you with my money? So it impacts your finances. That's number one. Number two, the other part is this. People are attracted to the rapper before they actually use what's in the wrapper. Okay. And a lot of times people won't go based off of what you say you provide. They want to see it. How many times you could post something so crazy on social media, it goes viral. You give people some free strategy. You give them some good content that can grow their business, grow their brand. You give them something solid. Mm-hmm. It takes a while for that to pick up.
Oh no, I'm a testimony of that. I post up a woman talking about overcoming her divorce. I'll post up a woman talking about overcoming her fears, public speaking, all them different things, and I'll get maybe a few views, a few likes. I gotta almost feel like I'm begging for likes sometimes. Mm-hmm. But then if I post up a video of a woman arguing in public, making a fool of herself or making our race looking crazy, then we'll get a whole bunch. And a lot of that is because, like, I said this before in a prior episode. I was like, I don't think people know that they should like this. Like, it don't come natural to us because we grew up and I'm talking about me in my neighborhood, grew up in chaos. So when you grow up in chaos and you see something different, it's like, I don't know. Is that real? Is that supposed to happen? So, and that's why it's good to have someone like you who can make us conscious of these things. Like, the more I'm talking to you, I'm like, yo, you are definitely needed out here. Because
well, I just had a flashback of us being Martha and Snoop. That's so funny.
And Snoop?
Martha and Snoop Dogg.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That was a little joke, y'all.
Now, and you know what's crazy? Because with Martha and Snoop is the one that, Martha the one that went to jail.
You're right. But see, but I was using it from the, I ain't been to jail, y'all. But I was using that from the analysis of the brand recognition.
Right.
Both people have brands that are successful.
Right.
They're successful in their own industry. And there are two brands that you wouldn't necessarily put together. And now that you have put together, now you love what they've created together.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about, those people who I just talked a little bit about public speaking and stuff. For those people out here, both men, because I'm trying to open it up to not just women.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want a man.
I have male clients on my roster.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some of the tangible things that they could do to increase their confidence, become more image conscious without becoming shallow? Without becoming, yes, okay, I need a $3,000 suit to wear, or I don't feel my greater self, versus them going down to, I'm going to just say H&M. So how do what steps can a person do to increase their value of self in order to be successful for others?
Yeah, I think it's knowing the cut that works for you. Getting an analysis of, your body image and knowing which colors work best for you as well, because colors tell a message. And so being able to decide on, if it's your personal brand colors, if it's just you as a professional or you just in your own right, how you dress, figuring out what colors work for you, figuring out what styles work for you, and not being afraid to experiment. And I think one of the other things that's key is that you have to take the time to invest in finding that out. It's not you just run in the store, grab some off the rack and thinks it worked. No, you got to take the time and really figure out what your personal style is.
Okay.
So if you're not going to hire a stylist, you're going to have to go to the store, pull out multiple things and try it on. And I like to say anything you put on, if you don't feel like a 10 in it, you shouldn't buy it.
Okay.
Anything you put on, don't worry about the size. If you don't like the number that's on the size, rip the tag out. You don't have to look at it, So it's trying things on, not being afraid to experiment and being true to who you are and finding your personal style.
For those who get pushback about hiring an image consultant, what would be your response to them? Yeah.
So I'll give you my success rate. One of my clients has increased her salary by 30%.
That's a big
She went
jump
from being a director to a vice president. So
wow.
Yes. So yes.
Shout out to you and her.
Thank you.
Shout out to you for giving her the tools. Shout out to her for being smart enough to take it.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. A lot of times people have some of the things that they need. It's just not packaged and positioned properly. You have to be packaged and positioned properly. And then you also have to be taught. So here are 3 things that I'll give you. So every client that I work with, we work for 3 months. The first month is breakthrough. Because breakthrough month, I want to know what is holding you back. What are the stories you're telling yourself? What is your mental capacity? I'm not a therapist, no. But I get you to acknowledge what's holding you back. Why do you still have your prom dress? You've been out of school 10 years. Why do you still have it? Why do you still have your tuxedo from your prom? Why? Because what we do is we allow things that no longer serve us, we keep them.
Right.
But why? It's the emotional attachment. Why? You're never going to wear it again.
That's a fact.
Not unless you're giving it to your kid or somebody.
Right.
But so I do the breakthrough because we want to see what's holding you that's not serving you. The second month is blueprint. The blueprint month is where we create the strategy. That is where you tell me how you see yourself. I help you create the strategy and the roadmap to get there. I also make over your LinkedIn that month. I give you 30 days worth of content for your LinkedIn, and you get a photo shoot, and you get glam by my glam team in that second month breakthrough. The third month, which is the fun month, is that I teach you how to become bankable.
Okay.
And bankable is this. Not only is the organization making money off of you, but you're making money off of the organization because now you know how to articulate your worth. You now know how to ask and position yourself and to show why you are collateral, why you are an asset, why they need you. You're able to demonstrate that. So for anybody who gets pushback on why they hire, so I do more than clothes.
Right.
I am more than clothes. I am more than your traditional stylist. I'm giving you the entire package because I want you to be successful. I know what it's like to be broke, and I know what it's like to have money. And so being able to come from both places, I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to not have confidence. I know what it's like to figure out how am I going to make it to the next day. And part of me creating this business was when I was able to figure out the strategy for myself, I didn't want anybody else to ever feel some of the things that I felt before.
No, that's real. And I think a lot of us are in that space. Like when you go through certain hardships of life, it's a party that's like, man, I just want to try to help someone else out. You know, it not even about the money. It just be like, I just sincerely, what I went through was absolute hell. And
you're a success.
But
though.
you become your misery becomes your ministry.
Yes.
And I can see that a lot with you. And let me put this out here for anybody else who has any additional doubt. There's no one that you see who have had a great measure of success who does not have a coach, a mentor, a role model. They all had it. I have that. I'm also in therapy. Which you said, we had two therapists on the podcast so far, and they both said what you said just right now, just different ways. But but it's perfect. And this is what I want from right here. I want this to be a platform where somebody can walk away feeling empowered, but also having the keys and the steps to actually to do what they accomplished to do.
Yeah, and I have an amazing coach too. And so what I love about my coach is that she not only challenges me, but she was the first person to ever tell me I can have it all. Because a lot of times we're taught you can't have it all.
Okay.
And so she was the first person to tell me you can have it all. And I began to believe that, and I still do believe that. I want to go back to something else that you said. And, you know, a lot of times that, you know, when people have fear or doubt that set in, and I talk a lot about being your authentic self, and I really, really hone in on that, because what people do, a lot of times they're in a hurry to reach what they deem as success.
Right.
And so we become fraudulent because we're in a hurry.
Okay.
So we're producing a product or a service that's not ready.
That's deep.
And
that's
so
deep. That's deep. Hold on, we gotta stay there for a moment. That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. I am guilty of that. Listen, I am very much guilty of that. People who know me personally, I will move the heavens and the earth to make sure I get some stuff done. But a lot of times, can't rush time.
It's not ready.
It's just not ready.
It is not ready.
And a lot of us, and let me put this out here for anyone as well. The idea that you probably had was the truth. It probably was the bomb. It probably was everything that you envisioned it could be. But like she said, it just wasn't ready.
It's not ready. It's not ready. Because here's the thing, and I've learned this through coaching and everything. A lot of people don't know who they call to serve. They don't. So what they do is, everybody's not Walmart. Everything you offer isn't for everybody. You're not. And so that's why you're not ready, because you got to know who your client is, who your ideal client is, who your audience is. So everybody's not ready. So people don't know who they call to serve. They don't price themselves correctly. I was guilty. And what they do is this. They get a nice graphic and a nice logo, and they tell people, I can teach you how to make six figures when they're not making six figures. Their lifestyle does not align with six figures. And their social media engagement, their business acumen, none of that matches. And so people are not buying into what you are serving, even though the product or the service may be good.
Right.
It's just not ready.
Ooh, that's deep.
It's just not ready.
That's deep. Oh man, there's so much to unpack.
It's not ready. And see, I can even take another level. This the extended or the bonus version. You might have to cut this up to give it to people. But what I want to say is this. So they don't know who they serve. You don't price yourself correctly. You don't package yourself correctly. Because what you do is you find somebody's image that you are attracted to. Ooh. You try to mimic the image. And the image is not you. And so when you mimic something that does not belong to you, what happens is it's not sustainable. And then you go into some form of coping mechanism to make yourself think that you're doing well and nobody wants to buy your product or service because they're not on the level that you're on.
Wow.
The truth is you're not there. It's fraudulent.
Wow, this is deep. Where can people find you?
You can find me all things Bridget Battles. www.thebbexperience.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And for any of your viewers who are watching, who want to connect with me, I will give all of your listeners a free 30-minute phone call with me. You have to go to www.thebbexperience.com and just submit it through my website. And someone from my team will be happy to get you scheduled for a free 30 minutes of talking about how you create your signature image, or how do you really, go from being not seen to now not being ignored.
Oh my God. I thank you so much. And I greatly appreciate you offering my listeners that right there. Please, everybody, please, it's worth the phone call. It's worth it. It's worth so much more than a phone call. Mm-hmm. But let that be the first part. This is when people, oftentimes when I see people watching these podcasts, it's like, yeah, you walk away feeling so pumped, but they don't guide you in the direction that you need to go. You just
we're going to do part two. I'm going to have you on my platform to do part two.
I'm with it. We're
going to do part two. My show is called Coffee with Bridget. So we're going to bring you on. We're going to do part two because there's so much. Because even I want to go deeper into your story. Because here's the thing, that what you're building here, it's so amazing.
Thank you.
But we got to increase this audience, like what you're doing.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate that. We got to
increase this audience.
I appreciate it. And for those who see it, you will see it in real time. For those who see it, because I get that a lot. Mm-hmm. I get a lot of people that's like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm changing it. I'm not doing I wanted our sisters who have a platform in which that they could be unapologetic and uninterrupted. So the fact of me sitting here with you is where you can explain your side of the story and tell it like only how you can tell it, So for people who see it, they're like, yo, bro, this is great. I need this right here. I feel like I'm connecting. When they watch the episode, they're like, I watch multiple. So they hear that. It really makes my heart feel warm. Yeah. But I do need to figure out a way to get it because there's so many people that need this. There's so many people. In a few short months, we may have the opportunity to elect our first Black woman president. And come on now, listen. I got the whole concept from a Sherelle Parker rally. Okay, mm-hmm. I went to a rally. I seen her. She did something nobody else have done before. She had a rally and she brought all people in from the city, like vendors almost, to represent different departments. And a lot of them, they was all women. And she said something like, Philadelphia, this is our time. This is our future. And I looked around the room and I was like, yo, the future is really female out here. Uh-huh. And it started to take life. And it was like the moment I spoke it just started taking life. And to have the many women from so many walks of life come here. And I got therapists, actresses, models, motivational speakers, coaches. I got a couple of politicians, police officers. I got so many entrepreneurs. it's very much necessary. Very much necessary.
Well, congratulations to you.
Thank
Let me
you.
celebrate you for this platform and for you inviting me, for you sharing. And here's the thing, like, this is just the beginning. You have so much more. And to any of, the entrepreneurs or execs who are in my circle who will see this, by all means, please connect with Zach. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a platform. We can share, motivate, encourage each other.
Right.
But most importantly, we can all impact change together.
One more again, please tell me where people can find you at, all the information. Let's put this out one more time.
Yes, you can find me on all things Bridget Battles on all socials. My website is www.thebbexperience.com.
Good. Thank you so much for your
My pleasure.
time, your effort, your energy, and more importantly, your story.
Thank you.
This is Zachary King from The Future is Female. I'm out.